you ready for a little Southern humor mixed with relevant topics we can all relate to? We're about to pull back the curtains and mix it up. Scoot your chair up. It's time to talk about all the things and ask all the questions. Welcome to Get It Together, y'all.
Well, hello, everybody. We're so glad you joined us today. This is a podcast called Get It Together, y'all. We're in the South, so we say y'all. My name is Cindy Larson, and I am your host and my co-host over here.
I'm April Potter. We're so glad to have y'all today.
I know. I have been looking forward to this show for a while. On our original, time of just thinking this show through, I made a list of some people that I would love to promote and sit down and interview on a podcast. And this guy over here, Randall, was on my original list. So I'm super excited about. And then when I mentioned Randall Vincent, she mentioned you. So
yes.
We're here to have some fun and talk about some fighting. And we're a couple of girls who are ready for a fight. So anyway, we're going to talk to some guys today that is kind of their world. We have boxing and MMA and what is it?
MMA.
So yeah, it's mixed
Yeah.
martial arts, kickboxing.
Yeah.
I kind of specialize in kickboxing
Okay.
and jiu-jitsu as well.
I'm so excited. I can't even stand it. So anyway, we are going to ask all the questions, and hopefully you enjoy this program because we're going to get into it. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It's an honor.
I've been knowing Randall for a few years now, and I can't wait for you guys to hear some of his story because it's pretty amazing, and what he does with young men and anyway, we're gonna get into it because I actually purposely don't get into a lot of hangout time and pre-show prep with our guests because I want my questions that I have in my mind, I want them to be authentic. And the minute I say, tell them what you said 10 minutes ago in the green room, then it's like, you're already behind. So what you hear us talking to our guests will be some fresh information, and we're just going to roll with it. We just have fun. And I just want you to feel at home. We hope you pull up a chair if you're watching, that you're comfortable. If you're just listening, that you drive careful and follow along with us. But we really appreciate you being with us today. Share and like everything, and leave your comments if you want to get a hold of these guys later. We'll have April. You put it up.
Yes, we will put it on social media.
Yeah.
Tag them.
Yeah. We have a website. Get it together, y'all. Right.
Yes.
.com and so you can message us. So thank you again, and so we do a few things that kind of on a regular basis around here, and we'll get this kind of kicked off. But I want to start this off with some fun facts, and so just so you know, like I'm gonna give a couple of fun facts. They are. As far as I know, true, because I heard them on TikTok. But if there's any debate about that, April can look it up. But, our producer can look it up. But I found this so fascinating. So when I'm talking, if you think of a fun fact, because my theory is most people have some useless information that just rolls around in your brain. Of all of the things that you've ever tried to remember, think about being in school and you're like, I need to remember this information. I'm supposed to remember this stuff. And then, years later you go, I don't remember any of that. But what I do remember is useless unless I'm in a one of these, what do you call it? The, trivia.
Yeah.
Do you ever go to trivia?
Mm-mm.
Have you ever been to a trivia?
No.
little bars and places around town have trivia night. Come
Right.
on.
I've done it.
Yes.
Yes, I'm so good at. Well, I'm not good at it. I enjoy it so much. I enjoy it so much, and I just hope that I'm sitting with smart people that because I'll be the one that runs the answers up to the front, and hopefully we win the prize. But most of the time, those winning answers are not from me. But I like it. I like it. So this is something that I thought was so crazy. So in the 1500s. Houses had like thatched roofs, in England. And so they would put the animals in the wintertime. The animals, they would build these little houses kind of in the ground, kind of partially. So the animals would kind of go up and hang out on the roof, and it kept the people inside warmer. But then when it rained real hard, the animals would fall off, and that's where we get the saying, raining cats and dogs.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Can you
Oh, that's so
believe
good.
that?
No.
I know.
I never knew that.
I know. And the other thing is, the poor people didn't have like carpet and, fancy floors. So they had dirt floor, right? And then when the winter would come, they would put what we would call straw, they called thatch. And they would put the thatch all over the floor. And then as the winter would go on, they would put more and more thatch down. And it would get so much that they would have to put like a thresh. I said thatch, but it's thresh. They'd have to put a board up by the door to keep it from coming out, and that's where we get the term threshold.
That's
Oh.
funny.
Yes, can you believe that? Isn't that
I have a
learning
fun
things,
fact to
you
branch right off of that.
what?
So in the I believe 1920s, 1930s, I've been in the roofing industry.
Yeah.
I still kind of am.
Yeah.
They used to use cardboard for shingles.
Really?
And down here in the South, they would actually catch fire during the hot summers, and that's where they came up with fiberglass shingles.
Really?
Wow.
And they still haven't changed. Nobody's updated it really hardly.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Didn't know that
So,
either.
yeah. So then the really, really poor people in the 1500s, one of the ways they would tan the hides of the animals was they would use human urine. And so they would, poor families would collect their urine all week and go and sell it. And that's where we come up with piss poor.
What?
Yes.
That's funny.
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
And they had like a certain kind of carrier, like a bucket that they were supposed to use for this. And so if you were so poor, you didn't have a pot nor a window. Have we heard that phrase?
Yeah.
A pot
I
that-
don't have pot. You don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
that's where we get
That's
that.
funny.
I know. So that's my fun fact.
Wow.
That's good, isn't it?
That
Yeah.
is good.
So you have any? So you had the
Yeah.
cardboard. Do you have anything? If something pops in your head, So I think given your well-rounded, we're all Southerners here, and so I think I've learned a lot from my 1500s research, but we have a lot of sayings that don't make sense, which brings me to another thing that we do around here. We talk about our Southern mothers. So I don't know where you're from. I don't know. Are you from around? You're from here. So you have a Southern mother. Do you have a Southern mother story that you can share with us?
You putting me on the spot here.
You know I do, baby. You know I do.
You want to try?
Yeah,
Go, start.
we can be thinking about a Southern mother. It can be anything from so I have memories of all my Southern mother sayings, and what's a challenge for me is I'm so used to them, and we talk to our friends from around the world or up north, and they'll like, "What did you just say?" I'm going, "Well, because my mama, she is so Southern, and she is a seamstress. So all the women in our family would sew their own clothes. I didn't have any store-bought blue jeans till I was grown because my mama made all my clothes. And if she didn't have any fabric, she'd rip a sheet up. Like, I have had dresses made from not bolts of fabric, I can tell you that. And to this day, I mean, it happened last week. I came over to my mother's house, and I'm chicky-chockying up the stairs, and she's behind me. She says, "Do your pants need to be hemmed?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe they do." And I went straight. She said, "Well, if you'll slip those off, Daddy's not home. If you can slip those breeches off, I'll go in there and hem those up." And okay. And I just pulled my breeches off. She went in there and had them fixed in 5 minutes. I sat down to have a cup of coffee, and here she comes with my breeches. But that's just a
Hem
Southern
them on the
mother.
spot.
Hem them on the spot. That's right. I came in here wagging my one and only grandbaby. I came wagging my grandbaby, and I handed her straight to my mama, and I said, "See this shirt? It's hot, and I need these sleeves cut off. And see these little leggings? She's outgrown them. So can you go redo this?" And in 20 minutes, she's like, "We'll put these clothes back on this baby." And it didn't take her but 10, but I didn't think about it for a little bit because, it was the South, and we was eating watermelon, and there's just watermelon all over this baby's tummy. And she said, "Well, I better go get that shirt now." But that's a Southern mother for you. They're
Yes.
just they're going to do it and call it done.
I was thinking of both of my great grandmothers grew up in the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And so one of my grandmothers, she used to love when Hardee's first come out and had breakfast.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that when I was a kid. And she wanted to go. She was so excited to go eat once a week at Hardee's. And so she had a problem with throwing away the containers, though.
Oh.
Like any of the big breakfasts. I mean, she would take them home and wash them. And even the throwaway coffee cups and everything. And I mean, she
I
just
got another one.
because she's thrifty. And so then my other grandmother, on the other side of the family, she was named Henry Helen after her dad.
Okay.
Henry Helen.
First.
And so Mama Helen would pick up something every time she went to the grocery store. So if she wasn't out of cheese, it didn't matter.
No,
Like she's going to
no.
have 14 packs of cheese
Oh, yeah.
in her refrigerator.
Yes.
And probably 72 cans of beans because we might need them,
All the back stock is part of
because it's just we might run out. And
Yes.
it was that mindset. And then my last memory with her is she would never let her yard get over this tall. I mean, like an inch. She just loved to manicure her yard. So we couldn't find her one day. She's in her 70s, laying out flat on her belly on the grass, cutting with shears.
No.
Yes, because she
Is there a little
found just
middle-
a couple of
Is there a
couple of
little middle thing going on there?
I'm like, "Mama, what are you doing?" I just saw a couple of twigs, and I didn't want to get the lawnmower back out, so I was just gonna snip them off.
My grandmother, you'd go in her house, and she would have, I promise you, nothing of the labels that you were reading inside her refrigerator was what was in it. It might say, butter, but in there was some kind of a Jello, and there was no such thing as throwing anything away. So, was your mama a good cook?
Yeah, she's a pretty decent cook.
Is she still alive?
Yeah, she's still
Oh,
alive.
she might watch. You better be careful.
Yeah. But, as far as stories, my grandmother, she saved everything.
Uh-huh.
And when she passed away and we went through her things, she had things going back to
Oh,
the
man.
diaries from the 1930s, I think.
Are
of
you
her.
kidding?
Yeah.
Did you keep those? Being
Yeah,
an author and a
yeah,
writer,
Yeah, I got
you
my
need to
great
go
aunt.
through some of those.
I got one of my great aunt's old diaries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty amazing.
people didn't throw things away then at all.
No.
They kept everything. She kept everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
For sure.
Because they grew up in the Depression, or
Yeah.
they lived through
Yeah.
the Depression. So, they learn the hard way that you appreciate every single thing. And to this day, I mean, you talk about reusing stuff. My parents are in their early 80s, and it's a big running joke with my 3 adult children. They'll be having a meal at Mimi's house, and they know that the straws, they need to inspect the straws because my mom will rewash and use straws, like in the styrofoam cups. And,
Yes, the red Solo cups.
Yes,
My
and
mom
the
does too.
styrofoam from what's the telltale sign? If it doesn't have tea stains in it, the lids crack.
Yeah.
So, like, this is not new. This is not new. Hardee's did not just
Yeah.
send you a box of new cups. These are,
Mama's from years ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's hilarious. So, yes, some of that stuff, it doesn't go away.
No.
But,
Do you,
What about you?
my
Where you
mom,
from?
my mom just passed, so back
Okay.
in March. But her name was Mary Jane, and their family was from Iowa.
oh,
But
Midwestern kind of.
her mom was more country than you're talking southern. They had a 1/4 of a mile long paved road in their town.
Wow.
Everybody in their town was like obsessed with mules. It was actually really cool. Talk about southern.
Where?
Like south of Des Moines. I don't even know the
Okay.
name of the city. It
Okay.
was so country out there that they did this thing in the springtime that was called a rattlesnake roundup.
What?
So they would go out and whoever could catch the most rattlesnakes, because they would bask on rocks to
Yeah.
get warm,
Yeah.
would win. So,
Oh, my
but
God.
my mom was a really good cook. She taught me how to cook, and I work at First Watch even on the side right now as a
Wow.
cook. So I've been doing cooking on and off for 15 years or
Yeah.
longer, 20 something years.
Yeah.
Shows my age, but she was more of a fabulous kind of woman, and she would have loved your ring
Oh,
too. By the way.
yes.
So,
I can, this is my weapon.
oh yeah.
It's a rock, and I can absolutely backhand you,
Well, reminds me of the rock, the
Yes.
one true rock, not
One
the,
true
not the
rock.
smell what the rock is cooking. If you catch my drift.
So you learned to cook from your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know your grandmother too?
Yeah, I knew. I had quite a few grandmother influences in my
Yeah.
life. My parents split up, so I've had extra grandmothers.
Yes.
And like I said, my stepdad still lives like about 3 miles away from here, and his
Wow.
mother treated me just like family
Yeah.
during the holidays and whatnot. My great grandmother would make those sock monkey puppets with the
Oh,
little
yeah.
the name on the back of them. So when you were born, you would get one of those with your name like
For
right
sure.
away.
Oh,
So
for
Yeah,
sure.
that's cool.
There was what was the name of that? Look that up. They were certain kind of
those little monkey.
The sock monkey.
yeah, they little sock monkeys, but they had a name.
It's before my time,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, my brother passed away.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, so he was the only one.
And he was in Memphis.
No, he was here in Nashville.
He was here?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a sister that she lives not too far from here as well, right up in Goodlettsville.
Yeah.
She's a little older, but my brother passed away. He would have been the oldest at like 2 months old.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to do a fun fact and just throw it out there. It was more for me, like
Yeah?
based about me. It's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
So I had an epiphany this year. I'm not going to go into detail with that, but just on the day of Epiphany. So God's got the best jokes. Just let me go ahead and tell you.
Okay.
I didn't even know it was the day of Epiphany. I found out
I didn't
much
know there
later.
was such a thing.
January 6th, the day of
Wow.
Epiphany. It's a
Didn't know
I'm
that
gonna
either.
write
global
that down.
Christian day.
Did not know.
I didn't either
Wow.
until I had an epiphany.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
So I'm gonna check that out.
Sock
Not
monkeys.
not to
all I
call
can
you a
find.
liar,
All
but
right. Google away. Check it out right now. So,
that's so fun. Well, we thank you for participating in our little fun because we think that's fun, and we like to. We have such a variety of people on this show, and I just find it so fascinating. And one of the reasons why we wanted to do this program is because not everybody comes from the same background. But in my experience, when you have conversation with somebody and you have a meal with somebody and you have a think tank session with somebody, it's like, oh man, your world just my life is so much richer for having all of this variety of friends, right?
Yes.
And I think so many times in life we get pigeonholed with one kind of friend circle, or and we stay where we feel we're comfortable, but then we don't ever get challenged. Personally, I grew up in a preacher's home, and I was traveled the world as a missionary and evangelist, and I lived in this bubble, and so I didn't know what the real world was. I didn't know what a job was. I didn't go to school like normal. So when in my early 20s, all of a sudden I get a job at Casternauts. Remember Casternauts?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, it was the
Yes.
store.
Yeah.
And I got hired. I walked in one day and had a black dress and all these pearls, and I didn't know how to do anything but sing on a stage. And I was, just this was all new. I'd never punched a time clock, but I liked electricity, so I needed a job. So walked in there, and the store manager sent me to cosmetics and said, "Yeah, we're hiring down there." And I won't go into all that, but my world was rocked because I now worked with 40 women and one man, and none of them were like me. Not one of them had the same story as me. Not one of them believed the same as me. Not one of them, knew me from Adam. So every place that I went as a child performer and on up, we had been invited. So we were on a stage, and our pictures were on the door. So I didn't have to introduce myself to anybody. I grew up in a world that was I know that's weird, and I didn't know it was weird. I learned it's pretty weird. So all of a sudden I work with people who have questions for me, and you've referenced, biblical references a lot. I know Randall is not from the same faith. Like, we haven't even talked that deep about it, but I love Randall for just the things that we've been able to do together, and the things that I feel like we will do in the future together are just so rich, and he's made me a better person, and hopefully my relationship with him has made him a better person too, because we just can think and we can brainstorm all these things. But I don't ever put Randall in a box, because I'm like, I want to know, what makes you tick, and because I know you're a man of faith that I would relate to on that level. But I feel like that any prejudice in this world come from just not having enough friends.
It's so true.
You've not been able to. Somebody recently. So my family is multicultural, and I was recently holding my little baby granddaughter, and we were at Dollywood, and some people that worked there walked by, a couple of ladies, and they were from, I don't know, Nigeria or someplace. They had a real cute, strong accent, and they looked at this baby, and my granddaughter was just looking at them with her hands up, and they're going, "Oh, aren't you so cute?" in their accent, and said, "Have you ever seen anybody? Have you seen anybody like this?" I said, "Yes." She thinks you're her auntie. She wonders why you're not picking her up, because she thinks you're an auntie, because she got aunties that look like you. And they looked at each other and laughed, and like, my goal in life is to have enough opportunity to be friends and family, either real family or I adopt you as my family.
Yeah.
And Randall's one of these people that I could absolutely go into. I've been in places with Randall that they would look at me as very out of place, his boxing rinks or whatever, and schools that he has been teaching at, and I'd be like, "Oh no, because I'm with him." Because I'm with him and I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the goals of the show, is to have people come to the table or come to the couches and just say, how can I know you better? And how can I understand you better? And let me in your world a little bit. So boom, there you go. What do you tell the audience a little bit about your history and then whatever you want to tell. Like,
Well, I'm from Nashville.
Yeah.
I went to school here. I then graduated, went to Tennessee State University, and I got into boxing because I was undersized. And I happened to be looking at I was a kid, looking at the 1976 Olympics, and Sugar Ray Leonard was on that team, as well as Leon Spinks, John Tate, a lot of big-time boxers. And one particular guy, Clint Jackson, they said, Howard Cosell said Clint Jackson out of Nashville, Tennessee.
wow.
And I happened to be in Louisville, Kentucky, staying with my grandmother at the time. It was the Summer Olympics. And so when I got back, I looked up Clint
Did you
Jackson.
really?
Yeah, and I started going to that gym. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got into boxing.
That's amazing.
And then I kind of went into other things afterwards. And
I knew that you, because I met you through a mutual friend of ours, and you guys worked as social workers. So
Yes.
say a little bit about, your social work.
Well, yes, I worked with a gentleman by the name of Len Stewart. I got involved. He got me hired at United Neighborhood Health Services
Yeah.
as a social worker. We had a grant by the state of Tennessee from the Office of Minority Health, and so there was a violent risk reduction program. And so what we did was we went around the schools working with at-risk youth and gang members,
Yeah.
kind of keep them out of violence, keep them out of trouble.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I did that for about 8 years, and then I moved over to homeless services and worked with the homeless, and then I started working with drug addiction and those kind of mental health.
And that, hey, producer, do we have, we need this book that is offset here. We need, because Randall has written a book and we're all kind of strapped down. Where's Chloe? Chloe? Is she upstairs? So we'll show the picture of the book, but you have written a book for a program that is
Well, the
people
book
might
was
need.
the book was written basically when we do groups. I usually have a topic,
Yeah.
and so what I did was one day I just started compiling the topics
Yeah.
and put it into book form.
Yeah.
But I noticed that people that were at risk, and they don't necessarily come out of poor conditions. They
Yeah.
can come out of very well-to-do conditions.
Yeah.
But it's something's missing
Yes.
that causes them to go astray.
Yeah.
And you figure that out and you try to work from there. But the whole concept of the book is that I have four basic triangles. The first one being a triangle that you're born, you play the cards that are dealt to you, and then you die. Then the second triangle is your physical needs triangle. That's food, clothing, and shelter. The third triangle is your emotional needs, love, companionship, and happiness. And finally, the fourth triangle makes up mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
So if those triangles are any way not healthy, then it affects you mentally, spiritually, and physically.
Yeah.
And so when us being a healthcare provider that provided healthcare for the underserved, I noticed that those things came into play and it affected their lives.
Yeah.
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 So if you can identify, like I've heard teachers talk about kids not paying attention to them because they haven't eaten,
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. It's one particular story that I share with a lot of people. I was at a particular school, Dalewood, and at the time they had a little fella that was always angry early in the morning, and they couldn't figure it out. He wasn't talking to anybody, so they asked him if I would talk to him, and I said okay. And so he came down to the office that I used, and just he was looking at me. He was already angry, and so I asked him. I said, "Did your mother's boyfriend eat up all of the cereal?" And he's, "How did you know?"
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
And so I called his mother, and of course she wasn't sympathetic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we did get the situation rectified because the school provided him with breakfast.
And the fact that you could look beyond his attitude and
Yeah.
you went deeper, you unlocked something that might have changed his life because he was seen. He was understood in that moment.
Yes, I mean, you know,
Here's the book.
certain things, and I'm sure each one of you can attest to this, certain things that you happen in your life kind of prepare you for what you end up doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I believe there are things that I witnessed in life
Yeah.
that prepared me to be a social worker, and people think that it's an easy job. It's an easy job if you don't want to do the job, but it's and you can get away with not doing the job.
Yeah.
But it's not an easy job if you truly want to make a difference.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of money in it.
Right.
And so a lot of times people don't take it as serious as they should. But you can absolutely make a difference if you choose to.
Yeah.
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 And I've known you to work with gangs, gang members that kids that fell into that because they didn't have another family, so to speak, and you would bring them into a boxing ring and train them to have confidence and give them a sense of purpose.
Well, yes, the boxing program itself, and I tell all of the kids to get involved in the boxing program. You do not have to box. We will teach you how to defend yourself, not to use it as a means of being an aggressor. But it would also, and you can attest to this being in kickboxing, there's something in the nature of a human being that we all have that nature where we want to be able to defend ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you feel like you can defend yourself, even though you're not a violent person,
Yeah.
it does instill confidence. Haven't you witnessed
Yes.
that in some of the young men and women that you've worked with?
I think, I mean, that's outstanding, honestly. I got into martial arts when I was like 4. I thought I wanted to be just like Bruce Lee. But
Yeah.
to me, I got back into it in the later ages in life when I was in a toxic relationship as a great outlet. And it saved my life. Like that outlet to just hit a bag. Like I worked at Title Boxing Club downtown. I've done a lot of boxing as well with pepper boxing in the past. And I'm about to open a fitness kickboxing gym / boxing gym in Hendersonville that's all fitness.
Right.
Nobody's going to hit you. You just come in, you do, a little bit of push-ups, squats, and then you hit a bag for 8 rounds, and then you do a core workout, stretch, go home. And it's like if something negative has happened in your life, boom, what a great outlet. And also,
Right.
yeah, what an empowerment for women. And it's like I'm not going to women, children, older men, anybody.
Yes.
And I'm not going to have anybody spar at that gym. We do that at that location, but a whole different gym set up where I already teach. So it's like this really positive, not not intimidating atmosphere.
Not competitive with
Yes.
other people, but just your own goals.
Yeah, just write something on the bag and beat it up.
Can I give a
Yeah.
tip to ladies and women that train in boxing? When I was at Christy Halbert's gym on Main Street, the Boxing Resource Center, we had group classes, and we had a lot of women participated. But you always knew when they got a boyfriend because he stopped coming.
Oh, yeah.
So, I tell women all the time, if you get a boyfriend, you need to still do this.
Just
Yes.
bring the
Bring 'em.
bring the
Bring
boyfriend.
the
That's
This
boyfriend.
is why I
Yeah.
actually started taking Krav Maga. My daughter was in a karate class, and they had a free event for moms. Just come
Yeah.
check it out, see what's going on. And I was like, I could never see myself doing that. But I thought, I am 4'11" and a half. I'm almost 5 foot, but I'm an easy target. And you know, I was like, what would I do? You know, like literally. So I liked that program because I learned that it did instill so much confidence in myself, but I felt like I had a chance to fight then.
Yeah.
You know, like I might not win, but I'm going to go down. I'm going to die trying, you know?
Yeah.
So I trained for 5 years with that, and I actually have. That's how I know Kyle.
That's
I took some of his
awesome.
classes, his boxing classes.
And even to chime in on that, a lot of it's like just don't like set yourself up to be a victim. So
Yeah.
knowing how to use yourself as a weapon if necessary, or even to just, you know, you pull up a bad side of town and you have to get gas there, right? Well, don't get out of the car and go, I left something in the car, and then just lean back in the car and set yourself
Yeah.
up to be a victim. Like,
Right.
get back in the car, get what you need, and then get out. Try to avoid even getting gas there if you want to, you know? So there's
Yeah.
a lot. I was taught self-defense by a police officer from Goodlettsville that was actually a hand-to-hand specialist in the special forces in the Army. So a lot of it's just knowledge, and yeah, it's good to be able to throw a good punch and you know, have that confidence. But then if you're just realizing, hey, I need to really look around this gas
Right.
station when I pull up, and that guy over there,
Awareness.
he looks shady, so I make eye contact. He sees me make eye contact. That's already, you're not
Yeah.
setting yourself up to be a victim.
I live downtown Nashville, in the south part of the Gulch in Edge Hill, and I had a flat tire the other day, and I had to pull it. I drive a Tesla, so I didn't need gas, but I needed air, and I was right there on Wedgwood and 8th. And I know that's my neighborhood, right? And so I pull in, and I'm fixing to put my credit card in the air thing, because they take credit cards now.
Oh, yeah.
And I was putting it in, and a guy starts walking toward me, and I've seen him. He stays around there, but he wanted to, ask me if I had some change or whatever he wanted to say. But I was just very aware of my surroundings, and when I looked up and saw him walking toward me with an intention to come up toward me in the car, and here I've got my credit card in my hand, and I'm fixing to plug it in, and here my car's. I said, "Whoa, right there! Stop right there! I don't need any." He said, "I was just going to help you." I said, "Nope." I've said, "I'm fine. You just need to turn around and go back. Thank you." And I was fine with, I wasn't hateful or anything, but I'm just like, "You're far enough, so thank you," and turn around. And he did. And I'll see him again at some point,
Yeah.
probably, because I live there. And I'm just very aware, but I know what they're wanting to have a conversation, and I'm just not a newbie.
Well, and even real quick, just to chime in on that,
Yeah.
I teach at Legion Jiu-Jitsu right now, and we have 3 locations in Middle Tennessee, and we offer quarterly for free women's self-defense classes to the community. So definitely something to,
That's great.
for
We
the
put
community.
that up
Yeah.
on the.
And also opening my fitness gym, even to throw it out there, it's called Rounds of Glory. Should be opening. We're getting the bag rack Monday, so should be opening
Awesome.
within like a week or two. So
Fantastic. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say one of the things, particularly with young kids that are victims of bullying, I tell them it's a confidence.
Yeah.
A bully, they lack confidence and self-esteem as well. So they target meek
Yeah.
kids that don't look up, don't want to engage.
Yeah.
You look like a victim.
Yeah.
You'll become a victim. So we work with that. And now this I don't know if you know this, Cindy, but the state of Tennessee passed a law that is now a misdemeanor to bully.
Oh.
Yes. So that
okay.
so what we're trying to do is we want to work with the victim and the victimizer,
Yeah.
because it's a reason that both
Yeah.
are in that situation.
Yeah.
Right.
And you'll find out, and I'm sure you probably seen situations where the person that's the bully, they usually the coward. At the end
Right.
of the day, they're the ones that will run. If you stand up to them, they will back down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would
Usually
you
they,
s-
yeah,
go-
go ahead.
yeah.
As I say, usually they feel the way that they're talking to you about themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you guys say to somebody watching us that if you're in the Nashville area, definitely check out the services these guys provide. If you're talking to somebody who they're a mom or a dad and they have kids that are being bullied at school, which is such a common thing, you might not even know it. So ways of bringing it up, like how was lunch today, or do you sit alone, and conversations that are kind of just engaging with kind of pulling that out of them. But what would you say to a parent who would his kids being bullied in school?
I would tell them, get them to my boxing gym.
That's right. That's right.
And I say that because my son was a victim of being bullied because he, went to a new school, and when I went to address it, they preferred to put the onus on us to
Yeah.
prevent it rather than they themselves.
Yeah.
And I eventually pulled him out of that school, but it was a detective friend of mine with Metro Police. He paid them a visit and talked to them. And I just realized that they were going to push that off on me
Yeah.
and my son. So at that particular time, I never thought that he was boxing material. He's more like was a geek,
Yeah.
into computers and stuff. So I didn't want to push that on him. But during COVID, I said, well, I noticed him gaining weight. And I said, why don't you just come to the gym with me, work out? You don't have to box. And you'll feel better about yourself, and you can lose some weight. And so he did. And about a month later, he came up to me and said, I want to spar.
Wow.
And I said, well,
That's a big step.
Yeah.
I said, no, you don't want to do that.
ain't
That
ready
is, I said, we don't have to do that. Remember what I said? Let's just stick with the program.
Yeah.
But another coach came up to me and said, let him do it. Let him do it. So I let him do it, but I didn't want to see it because I figured it was going to be bad. He was able to hold his own, but to fast forward, he has since become like a little workout warrior. Loves to work out.
Love it.
That's great in boxing. I mean, I don't want to say great because that's a little
Yeah.
bit too big of an adjective, but has a lot of potential.
And he's got passion for it.
And he's
Yeah.
got passion for it, and that's all he talks about.
Yeah.
But now he's a lifeguard, and so he has confidence that I never saw. And to be
Wow.
honest with you, I was quite concerned when he was younger.
Yeah.
But the last 3 years, just being a part of that boxing program, changed him
Wow.
tremendously. And I see that with a lot of young people if they give it a chance.
Yeah.
If they give and they realize, hey, nobody's gonna pressure you, like you said. You don't have to go and fight. We're just gonna teach you how to fight.
Well, and I teach at Legion Jiu-Jitsu. I teach 2 technique classes a week, and I always tell all the people in the jiu-jitsu class right before it, I'm like, hey, guys, stick around, try kickboxing. It sounds like they're just going to kick you and punch you in the face the whole time. And it's like, look, you don't have to spar. I won't even let you spar for at least a month. I got to at least teach you how to catch a punch, how to parry a punch, how to my boxing distance. Should I move to the strong side, weak side? What, like, understand at least what you're getting into before you just jump in there and start getting punched in the face, and then you don't even have to do
Now,
that.
back in the old days, they used to push us to the ring.
Trial by
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah, man, you get out there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean,
Speaking of that, talk about you had a fighter recently that went a long way. What was his name?
Senna Ekbeko, he fought for the WBA title in Minneapolis this past December 16th. And unfortunately, we didn't get the win. But as I told him, I said, you know how many people get a chance to fight for a world title?
Right.
It doesn't happen that often. How many guys get to coach a person
Yeah.
that's fighting for a world title? So while it was disappointing we didn't get the win, I was still proud of the work that we put in, the work that he put in.
What was his story? Was he from a
He's
bad
from-
part of town?
No,
and
he's from
no?
Ghana,
Okay.
Africa.
Oh, that's right.
And
I met him.
yeah, and
Okay.
he's had to overcome a lot of obstacles being
Wow.
here. He's had some bad, I think, probably some bad management situations, which
Okay.
I won't go into. But he's always had to work
Yeah.
extra hard because he did not have the kind of support. And in professional boxing, as well as any sport, you need that financial support,
Yeah.
and you need the coaching. You need
Yeah.
all of these things to be successful. And 95% of people in professional boxing don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of money, but only maybe the top 1%.
You
Yeah.
know,
Make
where
that
he's
money.
training at now? Do you know who he's training with now?
He's just doing his own thing right
Okay.
now. I mean, if something comes up, I imagine he'll call, and that's usually how it happens. I
Yeah.
got something, and then we start working on things. But right now, I guess he's just kind of exploring his options because he's a very talented guy. I even told him he could do acting or modeling. I mean, he's got that kind of
He's a
potential.
pretty boy.
I don't know if he. I don't get into that terminology. But
I know some modeling agents.
yeah, but he's a nice looking guy. He could
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
And he's got that little suave thing going.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I think that just being in a sport like that brings so much discipline and so much just my daughter she was not a great athlete. I had sons that were just naturally good in baseball and all this. My daughter just really struggled, and we got her into some karate at some point, and she really liked that, and she did well, and she went all the way to black belt, but it took her way longer, like twice the time that was originally forecasted. I'm like, how many years are you going to be in? But she just took her time. But she when she was about 12 years old, she started at about 9 or something. So when she was 12 years old, she loved the competing in these tournaments. So they'd put posters up on the wall and get us parents to pay these fees to have our kids be in the tournaments. And we would do it tournament after tournament. And she wasn't the quickest, and she wasn't the strongest, but she was doing this sport at her pace, and nobody in the karate studio made her feel bad about it. And of course she could go to the tournament, but she was just not a medalist. And so she would get so disappointed every single time, because she'd be like, but I just wanted to win a medal. And as her mother, I'm just like, we're just not going to do this. We're not going to go, because I'm the one that's putting her in the position of going to these tournaments. We're just going to be busy, and we're just not going to do the tournaments anymore, because other than that, she's fine. And I'm fine. Like, we're all good. But so then I had made up my mind. I know how to handle this. So a poster comes up, and she's like, oh, a tournament. And I'm going, well, we're a little busy. We can't sign up today. And so every week it was like, oh, I can't. And so finally she comes up to me and she says, Mom, they said this is the last day I can sign up for the tournament, and I really got to go to this tournament. And I said, okay, we'll sign up for the tournament. And in my mind, I'm going, we still ain't going. Yeah, we're going to sign up, but we're not going to go, because it was an out-of-town drive, and we would have to get up at 4 in the morning, get there by 6, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going, so I paid her fee. I signed us up, and morning comes that we're going to get up, and it's dark still. And I go in there and I said, Rachel, honey, it's time to get up, but we don't have to go. Okay, we don't have to go. It's dark, and it's like, and she's like, she sat straight up in bed. She says, Mama, I'm going to get a gold medal. today's the day I'm going to get a gold medal. So I'm like, okay. So I'm in my bathroom putting on my false eyelashes, crying, going, I can't handle this. I can't handle this. She is not going to get a gold medal. She's never going to be a gold medalist. Like, what in the world? Why does she want this thing so bad? And today's the day, and I'm so mad, and I'm trying to get ready, and I'm just like, oh, I'm struggling. So we're driving, and she says, it's just silence. And I'm mad. I'm mad that I'm doing what I said I wasn't going to do. And she said, Mama, when we get there, I'm just going to compete in my katas. I'm not going to spar. I said, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to spar. We'll just do what you want to do, and then we're out of there. So it's some, stinky high school gym that we go to, and she does her katas, and she doesn't get a gold medal. And she goes to put her stuff in the bag, and I see across the gym a female instructor whispering in her ear, and she's like looking all puzzled, and the lady's doing this and Rachel's doing this, and I'm going, what? Let's go. I'm getting my bag, and all of a sudden she starts putting all her stuff on, and I'm going, what is happening right now? So she walks to the center of the ring or mat, and she takes the microphone and she says, ladies and gentlemen, what is your name? She says, Rachel. She said, Rachel is here to spar, but at this age, we don't co-ed spar, and no other females in her age group are here today, so you get our gold medal.
Gold medal.
Yes! Wow. And I was like, what? She got her gold medal for showing up.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to be the quickest. She wasn't going to be the strongest. She wasn't going to fight and win, but she fought in a different way. And I thought, you know what? Shut my mouth. And she wore that gold medal around her neck she slept with it, And I'm like, good for you.
When Muhammad Ali had his memorial service after he passed, one of the gentlemen from Louisville that knew him was, they had a lot of different people give a eulogy or some remembrance of Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And Ali went to a tournament, an amateur tournament, excuse me. And, he was just there, and they were amateurs fighting. Mm-hmm. And so the guy that won, Ali recognized him, and then he told the promoter, take me, I want to go talk to the loser. And so they went and met the loser. Ali talked to him, told him, man, you did good. Hold your head up. Be proud of what you accomplished. And they played around and boxed and stuff. And the promoter said, that kid was like 10 feet high after Ali left. So,
Man.
It's to get in a combat sport or do anything, to actually do it, you have already won.
Yeah.
Because most people don't do these things. Whether you're in music, whatever it is, if it requires you getting in front of people, and you got the courage to do it, that in and of itself is a victory.
Yes.
Because so many people wish they could do it and don't do it.
Or so many people talk about the fighters. Look, that guy should have done this. This should have done that. I always tell my fighters, man, you got in a cage. You're along with a 1% of the population. So many people will talk about it but won't do it.
Exactly.
And in your story, I've been telling my students all week long, the parable, it's not in the Bible, it's just the parable that's like the Bible of the guy pushing the rock.
Yeah.
Like the Lord tells him, push this rock. He goes outside, he pushes the rock for like days after days after days. Then the bad guy tells him, hey, why'd he tell you to push the rock? And nothing's happened. You haven't even moved the rock. And he goes, God, why'd you tell me to push this rock? And he's like, look at your arms. Look at your chest. Look at your back. You're strong now.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily always that you see results right away, but you show up.
You show up.
Yeah,
And
exactly. It's a good point.
Rachel, to her, credit, she was in class every single day with a ton of females her age. But none of them, for whatever reason, maybe because they had to get up too early and all the reasons I didn't want to go, and drive to this out of town tournament. They didn't want to go either, and they didn't go, and she did. And so just that, for the rest of her life, she can say she won a gold medal. And she would tell people, she'd say, I won this gold medal at a tournament. I was the only girl that came. She was as proud of the truth. I'm like, well, you don't have to tell all of it. And she's like, no, I need to tell all of it. She, in her 12-year-old understanding,
She showed up.
Yeah.
she
showed
showed
up.
up.
Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, E.T., he's the number one motivational speaker in the entire world. And I just found out he's actually a really preacher during COVID. I started watching. He's a great pastor. But he wrote a book, his first book. It was called The Secret to Success. And at the very end, he was a high school dropout. Now he's got multiple, he's considered, he's got his PhD. And at the very end of the book, he says, there is no secret to success. You just got to show up. And my coach that gave me my black belt in Taekwondo, he said, it's all about showing up on the days you don't feel like doing it.
Wow. That's when you really win. Well, I hope you have enjoyed today, because I have had a blast, and we are just here for you. And our tagline that April and I say all the time is, get it together, y'all. We're here to help. See you next time. Bye-bye.